In this fRYEday video, I'm going to cover the 5 most important rules that you need to know about smart houses and smart house tech. Hey, thanks for clicking the pretty thumbnail. I'm Jeff with Fast How To. I really want to change the name of the channel to something that actually shows up when you search for it on YouTube, but I haven't been able to come up with anything just yet. I've gotten a lot of ideas from my viewers, but none of them have spoken to me. I'm just looking for that magical name that I have to use. Do you know what it is? Let me know in the comments, and if I use your idea, I'll send you some free stuff. For those of you that aren't aware, or that haven't voted yet, I've got a poll up on my Patreon page asking what my next video topic should be about. No, you don't have to be a member to vote. It is open to the public. Drop by, check it out, and cast your vote. While you're there, if you want to support the channel, check out what's available. Benefits start at just $3 a month, and it really does help out with making these videos. You can scan the QR code that I've put up over my shoulder somewhere in post, or I'll leave a link down in the description. Now that we got all that stuff out of the way, today's video will be a bit different than my typical videos. I've decided to separate the fRYEday videos from the technical videos. In the fRYEday videos, I'll obviously be talking about Rye, but more importantly, they're going to be less complicated, easier to produce videos that I can get out to you guys much more regularly. They'll be much more conversational in nature, and I'm just going to cover things that have happened or changed since my last video or our last discussion. Small changes or updates that I made, problems I've had, lessons I've learned, upcoming projects, stuff like that. Sure, there's likely going to be some small amount of technical content and some quick code snippets and whatnot, but mostly it's just going to be honest discussion about what's going well in my smart house and, just as important, what's not. There'll be a bunch of ideas and other stuff for you guys to pick up on as well. In typical fRYEday fashion, we'll begin with the Rye. In the glass today, I've got Wild Turkey Master's Keep Triumph. At 10 years old, this is the oldest age-stated rye that Wild Turkey has ever produced. I found this hiding way in the back of a liquor store and snatched it up the instant my eyes settled on that pretty green box. With an MSRP of $275 and a shelf price somewhere between $300 and $400 depending on where you find it, it's certainly not an everyday drinker. Well, unless you make a lot more money than I do anyway. So how is it? Honestly, I find it to be a bit thin in the mouth. I generally prefer a more creamy or rich mouthfeel, something with a bit of viscosity. I find that thinner ryes tend to be a bit more spice and ethanol forward. This one is no exception. There is a lot to appreciate about it though. It's really quite pleasant, but when this bottle's gone, I don't think I'll be buying another one. It's good, and I'll be sad to see it go, but all right, let's get to it. Rule number 1. Install and test everything you buy before the return window closes. Do not buy any smart home equipment because it's on sale and I'll need this someday, or I won't have time to set this up and integrate it for a while, but I'll definitely use it. Yeah. Why? Because then you'll end up like I did with this piece of shit, the Bond Bridge. I bought this in March of 2024. It is now November of 2024. Now, if you've watched my Shelly video, that might sound familiar. I bought those in November of 2022 and didn't get around to installing them until August of 2024. Shame on me. So what's the big deal? For the life of me, I could not get this thing to work. And I don't mean with Home Assistant. I didn't even get that far. I took it out of the box, I downloaded the app, set it up, got it on my Wi-Fi network, everything was going great. Then, I went to work trying to teach it commands from the first remote. I tried every different command that remote had. Not a single one of them worked. I kept getting the same worthless message. No signal was detected. Now, before you go giving me hell about not checking compatibility and there's a web page on their site where you can go and type in the FCC ID from the remote and it'll tell you if it's supported or not. The website said it was 100% compatible. Sweet! Yeah, no, not at all. After trading a handful of emails with their support staff where they were obviously copy-pasting from ChatGPT, I gave up and put it back in the box. I can't decide if I want to smash it with a hammer or if I should give it away to one of my viewers in the hopes that you'll have better luck with it. I tell you what, let's do this. If you think I should give it away, hit the like button. If you think I should smash it with a hammer, on camera of course, hit the thumbs down button. That's how we'll handle voting for this one. And in case the thumbs up voters win, leave me a comment telling me why you want this thing. Real quick though, same as the rest of my electronics giveaways, the winner must reside in the continental US. Mostly because I'm far too lazy to go and look up the legalities of shipping electronics to different countries. I'll run the thumbs up, thumbs down thing until the end of the year. How's that? While you're down there though, smack that subscribe button too. If thumbs up wins, I'll announce the winner in my first video of next year, and you don't want to miss that in case it's you, right? If thumbs down wins, you're definitely not going to want to miss me smashing this thing. Rule number 2. Design your automations very carefully. Always test your automations and spend some extra time thinking through every single thing that's going to happen. For example, I recently changed some of my lighting automations to turn on and off using the lux reading from my Tempest weather station instead of just using sunrise and sunset. I did this because sometimes it's a very cloudy day or there's a storm or whatever, and it'd be nice if the lights turned on a little earlier instead of it being so dark in the house. Well, sometime after sunrise this morning, a storm rolled in and it got darker. When I came downstairs, all the lights were on. Checking the log revealed that they were turned off properly, and then they were turned back on again by the recent automation I wrote to use the lux value. Son of a woosah. Another thing that's happened to me recently is my wife got a new phone. New phone, new companion app, new device trackers, all that shit. Now, I use geofencing with zones to automatically open and close the garage door. This works great. Except that my wife likes to use her cell phone right up until the last possible second before it's gonna die before she puts it on the charger. And so, of course, sometimes it does die. Naturally, this makes the device tracker flip to not home since it falls off the network, which isn't that big of a deal, right? The already closed garage door closes. But I'm sure you can probably guess what comes next. She charges her phone, turns it back on, and bam! Now she's just arrived home. The garage door opens. I don't know if her new phone takes longer than the old one to power up or takes longer to charge or whatever, but now I've got to adjust those timers because I thought I had it all figured out. Another good one. I wrote an automation that when the door from our kitchen out onto the deck opens after dark, it turns on the kitchen lights and all the floodlights and the backyard and the lights on the deck and all that. Seemed like a really good idea at the time. If somebody breaks in through that door, turn on the kitchen light. If we're going out onto the deck after dark, turn the lights on. Good plan, right? Well, it's been getting dark here earlier and earlier this time of year. Several times I've found myself sitting out on the deck or the patio, just relaxing, enjoying a glass of whiskey, and reading something on my phone, probably related to smart home stuff. And it starts getting dark, and I'm still out there, and then my wife decides to come out and join me, and bam! All the floodlights turn on, and now I'm blind. Not fun. Rule number 3. Always read the video description and the comment section on a video. I'll say it again for the cheap seats. Always read the video description and the comment section on a video. Why? My Bluetooth proxy video is a perfect example. I ordered some of those M5 stacks and created a Bluetooth proxy. Added my locks to it. It was awesome. In fact, it was so awesome, I made a video about it. People loved the video. There was much rejoicing. It did a lot better than many of my other recent videos. But then, within a few days, I began having troubles with the M5 stack. The locks kept disconnecting from it, and the only way I could get them reconnected was to reboot the thing. At this point, I had no idea if it was my locks, or if I got a bad device, or bad firmware. I'm notoriously bad at keeping Home Assistant up to date, in case you haven't noticed. I didn't know what the deal was. Anyway, at some point, I got into a discussion about it in the comments section, and I mentioned that I had some problems with it. Well, wouldn't you know it, a full 4 months after the video was released, somebody replied to the comment where I said I was having some difficulty with it and had switched to a different device. They said they had already bought the hardware and they were having the same types of difficulties that I said that I had had. If they had read the comments before they bought the hardware, they would have known. Or if they were a subscriber and had watched the video I released sometime later after I had replaced the M5 stack and decided that the replacement ESP32s were much more stable, he would have known. Now, I'm not blaming him. He did watch the video, and those were the ones that I used in the video. Luckily, we're only talking about a $10 device here, but the fact remains. Things change after a video is made. The unfortunate reality of it is that once a video is uploaded, the creator, me, is very limited in terms of what can be done with the video. You can edit the description, the thumbnail, the title, etc., but you can't add any text overlays. You can't replace the video with a different one, none of that. Now, I did change the description to reflect the difficulties that I had and provided links to the new, more stable ESP32s that I replaced the M5 stack ones with, but not in time for that guy. And dude, I'm sorry. Short of deleting an entire video though, much of which still contains a lot of relevant info, the best a creator can do is to update the description and discuss issues in the comments section. So please, I encourage you, always read both of those. Rule number 4, don't buy crap. This should be pretty self-explanatory. But Jeff, how do I know in advance if it's crap? Well, for starters, just about anything smart that's on the shelf at Walmart or Home Depot or any other big box retailer is likely going to be crap. Why? They're not the smart home business. They're in the profit business. They're in the business of buying things at the lowest price and selling as many of them as they can. So the short answer is you get what you pay for. Now, that doesn't mean everything has to be expensive. If you can wait out the slow boat from China, AliExpress might be a great option for you. Although, I'm not sure what the recent changes to import taxes may do to that. I don't really know much about it, except for the fact that something changed recently, and the only reason I know that is because YouTube seems to think that I want to watch a metric shit ton of videos on that topic, for whatever reason. But seriously, if you're thinking about buying something that you want to integrate with your smart house, just Google it. I usually type in Home Assistant followed by the product. Be specific. If you can include the manufacturer and the exact model number, you'll get way better information. Check the integrations on the Home Assistant website. Check hacks to see if somebody has written an integration for it. Search the forums to see if other people have complained about whatever it is, or if they've given it rave reviews. Search YouTube and see if anyone has integrated it with Home Assistant yet and made a video about it and what kind of difficulties they had, or if they love it. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure, as the saying goes. Rule number 5. Always buy devices with local control whenever possible. There are a lot of reasons for this one. Privacy is a big one these days. You hear about all these companies leaking data all over the internet, which contributes to identity theft. Ever had your identity stolen? If not, unfortunately, you're probably in the minority these days, but take it from me, it's not fun. Security is another one. Anything that is cloud controlled is subject to that cloud being hacked, which may result in someone gaining unauthorized access to one of your devices. In some cases, this might not be that big of a deal. Maybe an attacker can turn your lights on and off. Annoying, but not really a huge risk. But what if they're able to get into your video cameras? What if they're able to get into your robot vacuum and your vacuum has a camera on it? What if they can drive it around your house, taking inventory of all the nice stuff that you own, and then use it to know when you're home and when you're not so that they can come and rob your house? Okay, fine. So you're not worried about privacy or security. You should still buy devices with local control. Exhibit A, my cue. I'm not going to beat that dead horse. Still not convinced? Fine. How about speed? Everybody likes speed. Every cloud integration I have ever used that had a local counterpart, the local version was way faster. How much faster? Depends on several things, but in some cases, noticeably faster. Lighting, for example. Nobody wants to press a button to turn on a light and have to wait 2 or 3 seconds for it to turn on. It should be instantaneous, right? Or what about locking or unlocking your door? Faster is always better. All right, let's switch gears here. What have I been up to for the past several months? Let's see. I swapped out the regular Casa light switch in my ground floor half bath with a dimmer version. This is awesome. I wrote an automation that controls the light brightness after dark. It checks to see if the parlor light is on or off. If it's on, then the half bath light comes on at full brightness. If it's off, then the light comes on dim. The idea is that if you're sitting there watching TV and get up to use the restroom, you don't want to be blinded, right? Blinded by the light. I ended up having to switch the bulbs in the half bath though, since the existing bulbs were not dimmer friendly and they flickered pretty bad. Unfortunately then, I screwed up the initial automation because I violated rule number 2, and then I fixed it and ultimately combined 2 automations into one with an if-then, which really made things a lot cleaner in the UI. Here's how I'm handling it if you want to do something similar. Then there's another automation that says if it's during the daytime hours and the light is turned on, set it to full brightness. I also added a Casa dimmer in the master closet, a Casa light switch in the guest bedroom closet, and another one in my son's bedroom closet. Why did I bother with smart light switches in the closets? Mostly because I kept finding the closet lights being left on. I'd walk in there and the closet door would be closed, but I'd see light under the door. Part of this whole smart home stuff is to try and save some energy, right? So now I can write automations to turn off the closet lights after they've been on for some period of time. No, I haven't done that yet, but I will. Actually, come to think of it, I will probably just use contact sensors, so when you open the door, they turn on, you close the door, they turn off. Better. I switched from DeepStack to Code Project for AI object detection in Blue Iris. I didn't want to do this, but one day DeepStack just shit the bed. Stopped working. For the life of me, I couldn't get it working again. I tried uninstalling, reinstalling, everything I could think of. No joy. For the record, I'm super pissed off about this switch. It is a lot slower than DeepStack was, and it's way worse too. It keeps identifying all manner of not people as people. Super annoying. Haven't had time to dig into why that's happening just yet, or try and fine-tune it to speed it up. Maybe one of these days. Just to mention it again, for those who may have missed it, I replaced the M5 stacks, these things, that I was using for a Bluetooth proxy with a generic ESP32 from Amazon due to problems that I was having with those M5 stacks losing connections every 24 hours or so. The replacements are a lot better. These only lose connection about every 8 or 10 days, which is still annoying, but it's a lot more stable. I bought a Casa Smart outlet to control the power for this to reboot them, since there's no room for a charging brick where I've got these things plugged in. Not sure if I'll actually end up using this or not, since I keep hearing people say that new Kasa equipment requires a cloud login. I don't know, it's just what I've heard. But for now, I'm still controlling all of my Kasa stuff locally so far. I have not updated any of the firmware, nor do I intend to. In a previous video, you may have saw, I added some Shelly relays to a couple of kitchen light switches. During the filming of that video, I realized that my wiring was not quite what I thought it was and had to order some more Shellys. Here they are. This is a violation of rule number 1. I've not installed these yet, but speaking of Shellys, I've had a hell of a time with those 2.5s that I installed in that video. Luckily, none of you were able to run out and buy them since they were already end of life by the time I got around to making that video, but they do keep losing their connection to Home Assistant. The web interface responds just fine, no problems, and if I reboot them, they come right back online, or if I just wait a little while, they come back too, but super annoying. One of them controls some under cabinet lighting on my coffee bar, and I've got an automation scheduled that turns that on every morning and then turns it back off again once the sun is up. Sure, I could turn it on and off manually, but who the hell wants to do that? I have a smart house. That, and I didn't plan the location of that switch too well. It ended up being behind my coffee pot, so there's that. Kind of mentioned this in rule number 2, but I finally got tired of the interior and exterior lighting being inaccurate due to the weather. So I configured automations to turn the lights on using lux values from my Tempest weather station. I made a video all about that, so if you're interested, be sure to check it out. I'll throw a link in the description. But anyway, I set the interior lights to come on at 6,000 lux and the exterior lights at 2,500 lux. That still needs a little bit of fine tuning, but it's pretty close. Oh, I learned something new about these things, ESP32s. Check this out. When I was updating Home Assistant, there was an ESP Home update, and so naturally there was new firmware for these. So I wanted to push it over the air to both my RAT GDO and my Bluetooth proxy, but it kept failing because it couldn't find the devices on the network. It was looking for them by name, which was a bunch of nonsense that ended in .local because that was the default, even though .local domains are terrible for a whole host of other reasons that we're not going to get into. So anyway, I did some research and I found out that you can specify the IP address of the device in the Wi-Fi section like this. Then ESP Home will use this information for over-the-air updates. This works awesome. Now, since these addresses are in the middle of a DHCP range though, normally this would be a problem. But I'm not worried about any conflicts since I configure DHCP reservations for all of my Wi-Fi connected devices, and I would strongly recommend that you do the same thing. This is not the video where I'm going to dig into how to set that up, but I will cover it when I do a video about my smart home network equipment. Real quick though, while you're out there Googling DHCP reservation, because I know that some of you are too impatient to wait for the video, be careful what you're reading. A static IP and a DHCP reservation are not the same thing, despite what some forum posters may attempt to convince you of. Honestly, it's admirable how confidently wrong they are. While I was in my Home Assistant tooling around one day, I happened to notice that at some point, one of the updates added categories to automations. So I added some categories and started grouping them up. This is awesome. If you haven't used categories yet, you really need to. It's made my automation so much more organized. There's several other changes that have been made to the UI as part of some update or another too, and I gotta say, so far, I'm not a fan of some of them, but maybe I'm just old and grumpy. Get off my lawn. Another cool thing that I've been working on is I split my configuration.yaml file into separate files to make it easier to sort through and read. I've got a separate file for switches, one for binary sensors, one for regular sensors, one for input numbers, all kinds of stuff. Much cleaner now. It's really easy to do. You just cut and paste all the stuff under a section and put it into its own file, and then use this bang include keyword to specify the name of that file. Super easy. Granted, a lot of what I had in my configuration file can probably be accomplished in the UI now. But hey, I'm old and grumpy, remember? Hey, what do you guys think about Grumpy Smart Home for a channel name? I kind of like it. We'll see. Anyway, I did some dashboard cleanup using conditional cards. You might have saw me mention that in a previous video too, but I've got several different cards that were showing on my information page for like high and low temperature and devices with low battery, all kinds of stuff. They were conditional in that they only showed the devices that met the criteria, but the title and the card still showed. So I changed all that to be conditional and also redid that entire column using a vertical stacking card instead of just a vertical stack card. It's a small improvement, but I really like it. As for what I've got coming up, man, that is way too much to list with any degree of detail. And keep in mind, a lot of this stuff violates rule number 2, but since I just made that rule up today, I can't exactly go back and apply it retroactively now, can I? But let's take a look at all the video fodder I've got piled up here on my desk, shall we? I've got single pole Kasa light switches. I've got more single pole Kasa light switches. I've got 2 ESP32s, that Kasa smart outlet. I've got an Amcrest IP cam and PoE injector. I've got another Amcrest IP cam and PoE injector. I've got an Amcrest PTZ camera. I've got 2 Shelly 1PMs. See, there's 2 in that box. And then I've got a Shelly 1 Plus. This actually can be used on a DC circuit, so I'm going to use this to control the gas fireplace down here in my basement. I've got this entire box of stuff, a bunch of Sonoff S31 lights, Akara motion sensors, Akara cube, Akara switches, those little buttons, more Akara temperature and humidity sensors. Oh yeah, an Akara FP2 presence sensor. I've actually got a great application for this. I was just talking to my wife about it earlier tonight. She's gonna love it when I set this up. This entire box is all the same thing, and that is Akara contact sensors. Yeah, I have got enough here for just about every door and window in my entire house. And yes, I do plan to put them on every door and window in the house. Like I mentioned earlier, for closet doors, I'll be able to turn the lights on and off automatically when the doors open and closed. And I'm going to set up Alarmo. So I'll have sensors on all of the windows on the ground floor. I'm also going to put sensors on the windows on the second floor as well, just in case my son opens one up or it's raining and we need to be notified, because now I know when it's raining since I've got that Tempest weather station, right? Speaking of Alarmo, I've also got this Zigbee alarm panel here that obviously I've not set up or mounted to a wall just yet, but this will be the physical panel that will be used for Alarmo when I get that set up. Oh, I've got this guy here too. This isn't exactly Smart House, but this is how I connect these PoE injectors here. They're both going to be exterior cameras, these two. So they're going to be plugged in my garage. So I need to duplicate an outlet out there. So these work great. They're 3-prong, grounded, GE, good quality, and like, I don't know, $6 or $7 on Amazon, something like that. Much nicer than some off-brand nonsense that's going to short out and burn down your house. Then I also have 2 Google Nest Minis. This one is going to go in my study where my liquor cabinet is. And I'm going to use a contact sensor on that so that if my son opens the door, this will yell at him, close the door. There'll be a button up on top to disable that so it doesn't yell at me. This one is going to go in my son's room where I will have that ESP32 NFC tag reader for his books to read him stories when I'm traveling out of town. I've got these two mounts. These are actually pretty great. Got these both on Amazon as well. They just hang on the wall. I'll show you one after I get it set up. Well, that's the end of my rye, so that's going to wrap it up for this video. I hope you enjoyed this new segment that I'm starting. Let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below, and be sure to let me know of any rules that you may have come up with when it comes to building or growing your smart home. I hope you liked today's t-shirt. Link in the description in case you find it really extra funny. And I hope that you found this video informational and entertaining. According to the current results of my polling, it looks like the next video will be about my wall-mounted tablet for my home assistant dashboard. While you're waiting for that one though, go automate something, will ya?